Now that we know how to use existing objects, let's have a look at how to create our own. As we saw in the previous chapter, anytime you have a collection of code and associated data that needs to be processed in a similar but slightly different way, you might want to try using objects. Let's look under the hood of the myDate object. Open up mydate.php in your editor. First off, the class statement is used to create the definition of an object. The following two lines declare variables that the object will use. We have labeled them private. This makes it impossible to modify their values outside of the object itself. By hiding the internal representation of the data, you can use functions to ensure its consistency during input and output, reducing the chance of errors. The first function is a special one called __construct. As we showed you in the previous chapter, this is called when an object instance is first created. As you can see, if an initial value is not specified, the current date and time are used. We also have a function called set that can be used to update the internal value after the object has been created. We then have the familiar get and related functions that retrieve the internal data and format it in different ways. The handy thing about using objects is that commonly used functionality is grouped in one place and can be changed on a global basis by simply updating one function. For example, if we use the myDate class and its get function throughout our application, the date would always be displayed as the date separated by hyphens in the 12-hour format with AM and PM. Let's say our client then decided they want the date separated by slashes and in the 24-hour format for the time. We could simply update the default parameter in the get function, and the entire application would print the date in the new format. This is obviously much better than trying to search and replace everywhere the date is actually output in the code and changing each one. Other uses for objects can include automatically formatting the date based on a user's location, or allowing individual users to specify their own personal preference about how the date is to be displayed. This is just a brief introduction to creating objects, but I'm sure you can already see that they're a very powerful addition to your PHP toolset. We'll continue to see PHP objects in action in future chapters.